Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and gentle people. I'm Chris Silberberg from IDC, and it's wonderful to be with you here from FutureNet World 2026. Over here, I am very happy to be sitting down with Thomas Nilsson from Elisa Polystar. Thomas, look, we're here at FutureNet. What have been kind of your big takeaway from the session so far?
Yeah, I think, you cannot miss it. AI all over the place, but I think it's coming, a little bit further through the, just being ideas. We start to show real use cases. And look a little bit also in the opening session, I think I was very pleased. It also come down to the, the realities a bit that, a lot of these AI applications will not succeed unless you start with the data. You need to get control of data. We heard about Swisscom building this data foundation, data strategy. So I'm very pleased to see that it's not only dreams, it actually comes down also to realities and practical use cases.
Yeah, I think there's been a really big focus on those realities. How do we really bring value from this? And let's pick up on that data piece in a little bit more, because everyone is here talking about AI in operations, and they're starting to think about those different systems. We've heard inventory lot. We've also heard things on particularly AI assurance. So when we're talking about AI assurance, how is that different than just more traditional network monitoring?
Yeah, I think you can see it in a, if you take it simple terms in the beginning, it is about moving from a reactive mode to a proactive. And that is a big step. That's number one. And number two, it is about also unifying the layers. You have the customer layer, you have the service layer, and you have the network layers. These have been typically very separated and has been worked more or less in either horizontal view, if you want to put it, or in verticals. But they have been really independent domains, and now that need to change. Traditional monitoring tools has also been very much focused on giving alerts. AI-driven assurance, you cannot just stay with alerts, because that's you're going to be overwhelmed with this. And that means you also need to take action. So that is, I would say, the main difference. And the reason why it is like this, it comes a little bit to the network evolution. Future networks are more complex. They are distributed, they're disaggregated. And to actually understand the service, how it actually works in the network, you need much more data, you need much more insight between domains and other things. So that's another piece. So breaking the data silos, bringing data together in order to build what we call like operational insights. And when we talk about operational insight, we talk about basically three dimensions. You need to understand the network, you need to understand the service, and you need to understand the customers. And now we need them to understand the correlation between them. And that is a big difference. The third step in the whole equation is, of course, automation. So once you have built this layer in the middle, you understand what is happening. Okay, I want to automate and act. And here AI comes in, one of the main benefits with AI is that you added reasoning capabilities. And in telco network, we know one problem is not always the same. So putting AI as part of the equation will, of course, then help you to add some reasoning capabilities to be also learning and also to address things that you might have not done if you would have had a pure rule-based monitoring. So in essence, it really is about going from reactive, become proactive. That's number one. Number two, you don't look on layers individually, you need to look between the layers and between the layers.
And I think one thing which has really come out in a lot of discussions today has been the focus on putting AI into these capabilities where we can really show it driving customer outcomes, so connecting across those areas. So when you're thinking about like kind of network assurance, also kind of thinking, as you say, unifying these layers, when you start getting to that holistic viewpoint, how are you seeing it changing the network prioritization of issues or fixes from the kind of network support team's standpoint?
Yeah, that's a good question. And we have a theme we have worked in the company for a long time. We have worked with something which we call like impacted subscribers. And what that essentially does is that it changed the shift from focusing on maybe the network layers and rather focus on the customer. And then you decide based on your customer impact what to do next, okay? And what I mean with that is, for example, you have a problem in the network, and it's very easy to look on the alarms and look on the floods, and then you see, oh, this is the node that's having an issue. And then there's some smaller pieces out on the fly that's not so important, but then you start to look into it and start to understand who is actually impacted. well, then it might be the VIPs, it might be the corporate enterprises, etc. So for us, it's very central that we put the customer experience at the core when we take our decision. It doesn't matter if it is a decision which is like using AI to augment some human to do something, or if it's an action we want AI to do to resolve the problem. The key thing is you need to put the customer in the focus. That is the starting point. And that changes quite frequently people's mindset, how they think about it, and it also changes the processes within the operator in their daily day-to-day work. But if you have done it, extremely powerful, because when you start to get this customer experience visibility and you start to actions on it, then you can engage the entire organization. So that's super important.
Absolutely, and actually that's a story we've heard at FutureNet over the years. I think back to one where we had EMEA Telecom talking about customer experience and how they literally pushed that NPS to every team, not just the customer service team, to the engineering operations team, and that changed the prioritization. But this is at a deeper level as well.
It is, and I mean, at the end of the day, it is what you want to do. You want to have impact the churn reduction. I mean, that is what you ultimately want to avoid. And we know customers in the network more demanding, always going to work, and they require high quality service. And then it goes in the protect experience. You want to also use the customer experience for investment. So where should I invest? Should I invest in areas which just need more traffic, or should I invest where I actually make more money? These type of decisions become central when you have also customer in the middle.
Naturally, that planning use case has come up a few times over today as well. But let's step back a bit, because obviously, if it was easy, we'd have done it already.
Yeah.
So what are you seeing as the kind of really meatiest challenge at the moment for your customers? And once you've identified that, what is that first practical next step they need to take?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest challenge, and to some extent we heard it also in the conversation this morning, is about data. You need to get the data right. That is the absolutely most important thing. And that is extremely challenging in this new world, because what is shifting is that historically you work a little bit more horizontally in the different domains. Now you need to swap, kind of tilt it, and you need to put it horizontally. And in that you need to start to unify data between different domains, between different data sources. And the new world comes with even more data sources. And that becomes extremely challenging task. And on top of that, data is not only used by humans anymore, it's also used by machines. So now you need to build a data layer that not only produces data for humans, maybe in a dashboard or some alarms or anything, you actually also need to use as machines going to consume it, and that needs a different storage. So that's one. The other piece, I think, is the humans itself. We want to go to autonomous networks, right? And we want to leave the machines to take decisions. We want the machines to run the network. And that ends up in a situation that we are a bit reluctant to let the machines go. We don't have maybe the trust, the safety we believe we should have to actually do it. And I think, I mean, our view is, so how do I address this? How do you want to come further? It's pretty much to be very, very pragmatic. Don't try to boil the ocean. Don't try to start too big. Okay, figure out what is the main use case I want to actually work with. And that could be if it's a voice service, voice over LTE, which that becomes quite a complex matter for many operations, or if it's in the data, if there's a specific region or any specific application, it doesn't really matter. The important is select one. That's number one. Number two, then you start to look, okay, so what type of data do I need? And how do I need to unify this data to build a service model that helps me to understand how the service is being performed, how it links to the customer, so which customers are affected, where, when, how, etc. So I can set my priorities, and how it is being delivered across the network. So you get a model that is working. When you have that right, then you have the right, let's say, foundation to also take the next step is going to automation. And when you start to automate, most likely, and you will not start just to let the machine take decision and hope for the best. You will actually start to stay in an open loop, meaning that you as a human will, start to or control it and approve changes. But after time, what's going to happen? You will start to trust it. Well, this guy actually makes it right. The AI makes it right, so let's let him run by himself. and you start to monitor. You take a different viewpoint or decision on it. But I think in general, that is pretty much how many of, or actually all transformation projects kind of start. Start small, get the wins, and then you start to scale it up. So that's, again, going to the main challenge. It's about getting the data right to build exactly what I said to actually deliver the...
I think, yes, that's a great point to end on, and it really does kind of signify that flywheel effect.
Yeah.
You get the foundation right, that opens up a level of automation, which means you can bring in more relevant data into the model to then go further and further.
Exactly.
Thomas, it's been wonderful talking to you. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your show here at FutureNet.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris.